Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Hey, B will be right here. She had something to tend to that needed her attention. So, in the meantime, I'm just going to chit chat with you guys. Also, happy that they have audited 1% of the government and found $100 billion in waste or money accounted for or whatever it is. I would say that that is a gigantic win. And obviously, we'll talk a whole bunch about that. But let's see here. What else? One of the things I want to talk to you guys about real quick, and then I'm getting into some hellos from all you guys. But the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is freesteading. I've had it up for 2 years now, or approaching 2 years, and I'm really contemplating what to do with it because it's not doing what I hoped that it would do. And so, because it's not doing it, do I want to continue to bear the expense of keeping it up and running? So I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on it. But at the end of the day, either I got to dump a bunch of money into it, right, to try to get it to grow, to try to get it to where people can use it, try to get it to where it's friendly, or I just need to, cut my losses and go on. But anyway, I would love any feedback you guys have on that. Let's get to some hellos here real quick. Love Runs Rampant was the first one in the house. Good evening to you. Helen, great night to you. Stan Guthrie, how are you? The Terminator is in the house, and happy Friday. Jane, good evening to you. Carrie Davis says, here for the Super Bowl. Who's playing? Yep. Well, I probably will not watch the Super Bowl. If it comes in on the radio or something, I might listen to it when I work on Sunday, but I've got a full day planned for Sunday. So LJC says, happy Friday, Freedom Friends. You know what? I want to say the next one, but I always have my wife, involved in that. The greatest name on the internet. I'll let her say it later. Half bubble off plum. Psalms 125. Good evening to you. Grateful Hearts Ranch. Hello, hello. Lisa, good to see you. Nitos, how are you, my friend? One step closer. Came in with Skane's girl. Not literally at the same time, but, Mary Michelle, good evening to you. Tamara Smith, good evening. Dana Green, hello. Jen Botho, hello. Beth Emily, welcome in and happy Friday. Dana Randell is here. Good to see you. Bessie says, hello, hello. Hello, hello, Bessie. Kent, good evening to you. Redneck, good to see you. Ridge Runner LLC, good to see you as well. Did I say Tampa? Oh, yeah, I did. I lose track. Parrot-eyed Stanley's in the house, and if you ever want somebody to, tell you if a picture's level or if a wall's level, just call the Parrot-eyed Stanley. There's a reason why it's Parrot-eyed Stanley. Mo Engineer, how are you, my friend? I'm going to share some stuff that you sent me this week during the live, and I really appreciate it. Guys, I get so many news updates and stuff from all of you guys, and it's really helpful because there's some stuff I just don't catch. There's not enough hours in the day to catch them all. So for you guys who send them in, I really appreciate them, and just want to say thanks. What else you got? Oh my goodness, Indiana Mike's in the house. Ahoy to you. Hey, Jesus, good to see you. Kent says, what is the date for the Midwest event planned in May? So it will be running the week of, hold on, let me pull my calendar up just so I don't misquote it here. March, April, May. Okay, so it'll be running from like the 6th through the 11th. The 6th and the 7th and the 8th really out there is just pretty much camping for any of you guys who don't know. The 9th, the 10th, and the 11th is when all the events go on and where it gets busy. But anyway, I hope that helps you out. Okay. Let's see here. Freesteading Elon. Yeah, it's, well, right at the end of the day. Hey, the Life with Mike and Jen is in the house. Jen, how are you, my friend? We miss you guys. And there is no live without a Pack Rat. Hey, Pack Rat, what's going on? Pack Rat says, I enjoy the freesteading tag, but it never got the locate folks next to me. Maybe never. It has a lot of spam pressure. I miss it. No hard feelings if you pull the plug. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, I just don't want to waste money, right? Because there's so many things I could be putting it towards. Hey, Squatchy, what's up, buddy? Karen W's in the house. Let me see here. Oh, royalty himself, King Jeff, Juicy, Hefty, Lefty, Amazon, Mud Dauber, Slick is in the house. Gypsy, I'm having a hard time remembering them all, bud. Let's see here. Anybody else that I missed? Yeah, I like this. Jen says, too blessed to be stressed, just staying focused on the good things. Yep. Psalm says, the problem I noticed the freesteading is people posting on it, let's say Deep South Homestead, and Chinese people are trying to sell their stuff on there. Yeah, and that's kind of one of the problems is that I can't be on there to babysit it all the time. And, so you hire somebody to do it, but then that's just another expense. And Psalms, I'll tell you, if freesteading's got 22,000 people on there or whatever it is, but on an average day, maybe 100 people show up. And so, I'm spending right now, $1,400 a month on just on average maintenance. That's not if we do anything. Hey there, Pumpkin. How are you?
Late.
So I don't know what to do, but anyway, I appreciate you. Luis Wesley says, hi all, Camus has returned home. So thankful for neighbors bringing him home. Yeah, so Luis has got Dexter cows, and we had a baby on our farm this year. We named him Camus because he was this weird gray-brown color, and he blended in, and he got the name Camus. That we traded him for another steer because we're just going to butcher him anyway. And so he goes over to Lou's, which is who we traded him to. He gets out of the fence, decides to jump another fence, get into a herd of Angus. So he got to spend a portion of his winter running around with a herd of Angus. Aljo and Barbara are in the house as well. Yeah, Packrat says, if you decide to keep it, I don't mind being a mod. Yeah, I'm going to, so anybody knows as far as freesteading goes, I am going to do a video call with anybody that wants to come on freesteading and have this discussion. I'm going to do my best to get that set up and get it done. But anyway, that's kind of what's going on. Yep. Look at all those. Hey, Miss Bees.
Hello.
Yep.
I'm glad Camu's home.
Yeah, I'm glad Camu's home too. Hey, Extra 54 is in the house. Good to see you. Step Ross says, I feel that Telegram and Discord has taken the time I used to use on freesteading. Yeah, well, and that's the thing. There's just not a lot of people, frequenting it. And I don't mind doing it if, people are going to use it. But if they're not going to use it, I could spend it on her and she'd like that. Right? Hey,
Sure.
Gizmo, good evening to you. Okay, so I got through all the hellos. You missed the greatest name on the internet?
Half bubble off plum.
And no live is complete without a
Pack rat.
Almost got her trained, folks.
Did I get it?
Almost got her trained. What else? So Sunday, we are going to another homestead. We're going to do some framing on a house. So I'm looking forward to it. We're going to try to put up the interior walls, and we're going to try to boom the ceiling inside that barn from our last video that you guys seen. And so that'll be the goal. And hopefully we can get all of that done, and that'll make, those folks' lives a little bit easier, and we'll live, to fight another day. I will tell you all, for those of you who are concerned, I got to hang out with His Highness today a little bit, and he's doing great. He's almost back to 100%, juicy. But that is, that's my favorite of all of his nicknames. Slick is pretty good too. But anyway, it was great to see him and to hang out a little bit. He's doing great. It won't be long and he'll be, right back at it. Yeah. Let's see here. Half bubble off plum says, love watching the homestead rotations. Yep. Well, we got one coming up on Sunday. I will film it and I'll try to get you guys a video out to you. Psalm says, if it's not getting the traffic, maybe pull the plug now. But if free speech really goes out the window on the well-known sites, then maybe it would really take off. Would be willing to monitor if needed. Yeah, I appreciate that. Like I said, we'll get a meeting set up. I don't want to just pull the plug for no reason. But again, if it's just not serving its purpose, I'm sure you guys understand that, not everything we do is successful, and it's okay. I mean, it gave 20,000 people a place to chat. Lots of people in the, I hope in the state pages got together and built groups and communities, other places that, none of us even know about, and that freesteading can live on through them. And I won't totally get rid of freesteading. I'll keep, the intellectual property. I'll keep the stuff from it in case there's another use for it. But we'll just have to see. I was just talking about freesteading.
Yeah. You're going to get rid of it?
I'm thinking about it. Okay. So we talked about Gypsy's place. Oh, one of the things I've been working hard on around the farm that I didn't take pictures of because they've been the most lame pictures ever in the history of time is putting fence up. And so me and B live on 40 acres and it's almost a perfect square. And so at the start of today, I had 3 sides completely fenced, and all the gates hung all in. So I have one side, the south side of my property, left fence, and we got about maybe a quarter of it done today. So I've still got, a little bit left, but it's becoming more and more important in my life to have that done, and for a whole bunch of reasons, which we will share with you guys as we go on. But super excited about that as well. What you got? You want to talk about?
Well, it's probably the same kind of stuff I mean, we missed that. Working on taxes.
Yeah.
Started getting all that
Yeah, you excited
stuff
you
together.
excited about doing taxes?
No, not, I don't know why I even do it, because then I give it to the accountant and he goes, you can't use all that. And then I'm like,
hey, RN, how are you? Welcome in.
Well, then why do I go through the trouble going through receipts and adding them all up if I can't use all that? So
taxes make me sick, and man, they hammer us. And I look at it every year and I'm like, man, it's just not, there's not as much motivation to go be super successful because you just get hammered.
I think if you are an employee and you never see it, it's one thing. If they take it before you get your check, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when you are self-employed and you have to write the check to send it in, you have to shoebox it all away until you get that payment, and then you make that payment, and it's like, I don't want to let it go. But I think it's a whole lot harder.
Hey, Starla, welcome in.
But you get to hang on to it for a couple more months before you have to throw it away.
Psalm says, wow, you did a good job getting that done on the fence. Thank you very much, but I absolutely failed. And we're going to talk about it here in a little bit, but I absolutely failed, but I appreciate it. Nito says, Nevada hasn't taken off. The people on there are in the southern part, too far away to make community for me, but I enjoy some of the conversations. Jesus says, I still have half a mind to send a note when I pay, telling that they are and aren't allowed to use my money for. Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Have you heard some of the BS that they're using the money for?
Oh, yeah, I got a whole, baby, you wait till you see that. I'm going to make you sick tonight. B don't see the lives, the news stories.
I'm going to make you sick tonight.
Yeah. Gizmo says, I was fortunate to be able to connect with a couple of people on freesteading. It was a great gift for me. Thank you. And if you shut it down, I get it. We shall see, right? Skanes Girl says, I met a wonderful group of people on freesteading. It led me to a Zoom, which led me to the Midwest Preparedness Project, which led me to Kansas. Yeah, I know. I know that it's made a difference, Skanes, but it's just seems like I could make a bigger difference in other places, but we'll see. Yeah, David said they don't need our money. They print it. 100%.
No, they still want yours.
They want both.
They'll print it, but they still want yours.
Yeah, they want both.
They want 25%.
Yeah.
I've been working on pod 4.
I didn't notice. What'd you do?
I mudded. What do you mean you haven't noticed?
I did.
The same. You just got your eye exam. That's weird. But yeah, so I have a couple. I have 2 walls that are totally ready to paint. And then one that's the hallway I just have like a skimming sand to go over. And then just sanding the unfinished pine shiplap, just the little nail holes. So it's all mud. It's all, it's not mudded, but it's puttied or whatever, wood puttied. So I just have to go back over it and sand the high spots. And then, so I have been working in there. In between getting tax papers ready, I have to go through Tag's truck to get his receipts that haven't blown out.
She serves to be complaining tonight, isn't she?
Not complaining. Who's complaining? It's the truth.
You get the opportunity to get the receipts out of Tag's truck.
Yeah, because the ones that did blow out into the yard that I have to pick up, and I'm like, what is this?
Making his life easier is such a huge priority for you.
It is, and I do. I do.
Packrat says 100% taxes are like permanent disability on your free person. It's a great way to say that. They want you to feel the change, and we feel them. Yeah, I can't wait. I heard some shit. Yeah, I want to hear what you got. Yep, we'll be right there. Starlet says, funny story, at MRI place, we met up with an older couple that live 20 minutes that have community group already established. So we are looking in to see if we're a fit. Wonderful.
I love that.
Yeah, Oren says, isn't it great to finally find out what they are spending our hard-earned money on? Oh, is it ever? Is it ever? And I clipped a lot of it, but there's so much. But, you know, like as I open the live, they have effectively audited 1% of the government and found $100 billion in waste. Do the math when you get to 100%, assuming all the departments were the same, right? Yep. Pete says, you truly don't know what you truly don't know until you do something to see how it works out. Yep. Just like YouTube. Oh my goodness.
Geez, you're so lacquer.
I know, right? Sorry. Make sure I didn't miss anybody for hellos. And I think I got it. So, oops, better get rid of that one too, huh? All right, got it. So, anything else major?
Community meetings. We're basically using even though the building is not done, we've been having meetings on a regular basis there. Every time we do, I have to go in early and clean because, you know, tornado runs through and has got to see what he can build.
Hey, your living room looks really nice.
Looks great.
Who cleaned it?
I did.
You were out lollygagging with your friends.
Yeah, and then I had to go find stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else from your list?
No, but and then just regular, like, you know, every week stuff, just trash and laundry and iron and dishes and.
Well, guys, we have had a very emotional week, full of gigantic peaks and gigantic valleys. And I wanted to share it with you guys. You guys remember I showed this picture last week. This is a picture of Violet. She is one of our guardian dogs, and she is
not usually in the house.
Not usually, but anyway, she is just a loving, caring, you know, she wouldn't hurt a flea that she loved, but she'd kill everything else, right? I mean, she's just a great dog. She does her job well. She goes out there and protects the animals just like that she's supposed to. And so we were, what day was it? Sunday morning. We got up and just getting ready to do our, you know, normal day, just like any other day. And B walks out on the back porch and looks at me and says, "What the hell is that?" I debated whether or not to show you guys much of this because, well, it's sad.
You should say something though.
But I'll tell you, this would be a great time if you don't want to. Violet was shot. I don't know. We don't know from who, but someone took a shot at her, and the rest is all
hit her.
Yeah, it hit her, and so we dealt with all of that Sunday morning. And the process was pretty fascinating, but again, just big peaks and big valleys. And you know, it was super sad for me. It was super sad for B. And it was just this incredible emotional roller coaster. But and I'll tell you the whole story. But so if someone is squeamish, just listen to it. Just don't watch because I want to show you guys the pictures of what happened. And so B walks out on. We have a back porch that's covered. It's got windows in it and all that. We just stack firewood in it typically, but this is where the dogs sleep. A lot of times, not always. Sometimes they sleep out on the hay bales and whatever, but this is where they sleep. And so again, we walked out in the morning and B said to me, "Oh my God, what is that?" And that's what we find. And it was just crushing. And for a lot of reasons, but you know, she was my favorite and the dog I was closest to because I just loved her personality. You know, you could just pat her on the head a couple times and she was good for the day. And, you know, she'd lay by me during the day because she is a dog that's nocturnal. So she's up at night. And so when I'm working, she's just sleeping on the floor next to me often, you know, and that's how she sleeps through her day. She, at this point, her breathing was getting pretty light, and I'm not a dumb guy, you know. And so I told B that, you know, I'm going to have to put her down and, you know, that I can't let her suffer, you know, I just can't do it, even though, man, she's my buddy, you know, And I left for a little while and just told myself that, you know, when I get back, if she's still, you know, in this condition, I just can't let her suffer. I'm going to put her down. So I wasn't very long, and I was got back in the driveway, and I had spent about, you know, 20 minutes talking myself into, I'm going to kill my dog because I can't let her suffer, which I've put down all of my own dogs. I always do it, but man, it's just so heart wrenching, you know. But to me, and you guys have heard me tell this story, I feel like I owe it to them, you know, that I'm not going to let them die on some, you know, cold table with somebody they don't know. They're going to die in my arms. And anyway, I get all emotional. So I go and I get out of the truck, and I'm like, okay, this is it. You know, I'm going to go and I'm going to take care of this right here. And she stood up, and, you know, she walked up to me, and I'm like, oh shit. So I ran into B, and I said, B, call the vet. She's got a chance. If she can stand up on her feet, she's got a chance. And at this time, guys, you need to know something, that although I thought that it looked like she was shot, she could have also been impaled on a T-post or whatever.
Yeah, well, we had no idea what was going on. And when we tried to investigate, I mean, the blood is coming from her abdomen area. And when we went to investigate, she actually just like showed her teeth and was like, ah.
Yeah.
And that is not her.
Yeah.
That's not normally
she's
her.
a lover, but she definitely.
No, she didn't bite or anything. She just kind of like, I wouldn't say growled, but just like showed her teeth and like made a
Yeah. So, hey, Vicki Pullen, welcome in. So we rushed her in, and this is her. Finally, get her into the vet, get her up on the table. Yeah. And so you guys know this is an emergency vet now, right? Because it's Sunday.
Well, yeah. So we called our normal vet, and they were closed. So we called, and they partner with 5 other vets in the area. I mean, not close area, but you know, this is farm country, so within so many distance. And then the phone message said, call this other place. So I called that place, and they said, we're closed. If this is an after hour emergency, press 1 to be directed to the after hours call people. And so I pressed it. Phone rings. Guy answered the phone and said after hours, or he said our vet name, and I was like, whoa, you're my vet. I need you. I want you. I need you. My dog. Or I said I need you. And he goes, I'm sorry, ma'am. We are a veterinarian services. We do not have human patients. And I was like, no, yeah, my dog. You are my dog's doctor. I need you. And he was like, okay, bring her in. So we used a toddler sleeping bag, actually, that only zipped on one side. So it was like a
pocket.
Yes, it was sewn together on 2 sides. And so we were able to kind of lift her as she walked out to the back deck outside of the enclosed portion. She laid there, and we were able to kind of push the blanket underneath her and grab it, and then kind of roll her a little towards the center of the blanket, and then just lifted both sides. And Tag grabbed the back side, and I grabbed the front side, and we carried her like a taco to the truck and loaded her into the back seat where I sat with her head, and he drove, and we got to the vet, pulled her out with the same blanket. And then this is her on the table. She's actually not sedated here. She's just laying there.
Yeah. And her breath was getting, you know, a little more shallow. And
at first I thought her lungs were involved because it was like a breath and then like a little thud, and then a breath and then the same little thud. And the vet said no. He listened to her several times and was like, no, I don't think that it's any of the lungs. I don't think it's that. And then so he found the spot that it's easy to see the spot. And he stuck his finger in there and started moving around back and forth. And he goes,
let me show him what they were sticking his finger in.
He says, I don't think it's very deep. And I was like, well, your whole finger's in there. And he was like, yeah, but it's not very deep. He says, I actually think she might have been impaled on a T-post or a pole or a pipe, or maybe cut her stomach on a pipe or something. And still he's trying to investigate, like looking for shrapnel up in there. Bullet wound, no,
I'm
or
gonna change
a
that
fragment, no.
No.
So
Here's the X-ray.
yeah, he said, let's take an X-ray and see what we if the what's in there. And so here.
Sorry, I just had to get off that other picture, so I can leave this one up. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this is the X-ray. You can see on the left side of the picture, the rib that is not attached anymore. It's just kind of there. And then the obvious shrapnel from a bullet.
Yeah, so at this point right here, we have now confirmed that she was shot with a bullet. And those, you can see all those fragments in there in the X-ray. Those are pieces of the bullet that shattered when it hit her in the sternum as it went kind of across. But let's talk about the experience real quick a little bit.
So we took him in. Yeah. The vet was the guy. It was just one guy there, and so Tag was in and out answering calls and moving car and doing things that he needed to do. And I was able to help the doctor, hold her and position her and move her and shave her. And and then the shrapnel, we were able to find several of the pieces that were just there on their skin. We were trying to clean up as much as we could, clean the area, get it ready for surgery. And then I was able to, help position her for the x-rays and help position her for the surgery and help, tie her down, because they tie her, tie her totally down so she doesn't move. And then, he put the gas on her and just cleaned and cleaned and cleaned and cleaned. I mean, that was the longest. It took the longest to clean it all up, make it, as clean as possible. We were trying to limit the infection rate. And then he started suturing, got a suture kit out, and a whole, brick of stuff, opened it up, started laying the towels and pinching, closing them, securing the location. And then, I was able to ask questions like, why are you just pouring the water in? He got a bag of saline and nipped the corner of it and poured it in the wound. And I was like, aren't you worried about the fluid in there? And he was like, nah. And I'm like, it's just like an open cavity. And he's like, nah, not really. And then he said, if we have to, we'll put a drain tube in. And then I said, like, this dog, like the other dog, drain tube, I can hold him down, no problem. This dog is not going to let us remove a drain tube while she's awake, ever. Like, she's not going to be just like, here I am, do what you want with me. She is more like leave me alone. I'll pet you. You can pet me. I'd like you to pet me, but just leave me alone. I'll sit here and watch you. And so he, then we got the area all cleaned. He was ready to suture her up. And so he
real quick before you start, Lazy Loper, welcome in. Good to see you. Instigator, good to see you, bud. And Leela, good to see you as well. I want to make sure that, okay, yep, I got it else. Go ahead, sorry.
So he was, started to sew her up, and I'm like, okay, like, how's this going to go? And he was like, well, you see this right here, like the muscle tissue. He was like, there's just not anything there. Like, it's just gone. And he was like, taking the needle, and he was like, like, see, it won't catch on anything. It was like spaghetti. It was just, the muscle was just gone. And so he tried to, go farther out to try to grab more, to try to get it together to kind of close it in. And then by this time, like, I'm watching all of that, And then I've got my like clothes on, and then I have my outer gear on from like chores, like my insulated burnies on. And so like I'm like, oh my
She's
god,
having hot flashes during surgery.
yes. But then I don't know if it was like the hot flashes or like the whole blood, and he's like pulling it, and I'm like, oh, that looks so gross. And then I'm like, I think I'm going to step out for 1 second. And so I stepped out. I took my outer pants off, and I had like winter boots on, or what chore boots on, so like rubbers. So my feet are sweating. I'm just sweating. I get all this extra clothes off, and I go back in. And by that time, he's like already halfway done sewing the skin up. And then, so he like takes over here, and he takes over here, and he like puts it together, and he like pulls it. And I'm just like, wow, that skin is just strong. Holy cow. Like that is a good material to have all over your body. But no, he was able to close it all up, and then he actually sewed it. This particular one, he sewed it to where the skin kind of like popped outward, so that if stuff was in there, it would like drain out instead of like trying to sew it more together, I guess. So she's probably going to have more of a keloid scar on this one. But it was an experience like none other. When we had the injury with Panzer, we took him to Topeka, to the vet there, the emergency vet, and we literally pulled in the parking lot. It said, call this number. We called the number. They came out. They took the dog into the building. You stay in your car. They come back out. They show you a thing of what they're going to do to the dog. They get your payment. They take your credit card into the building. They come back out. They give you your credit card. They give you your receipt, and you leave. You leave, and then they call you to come back and get your animal. So it was a totally different experience. This one, and not to mention like more than half off.
Yeah.
Like I got to learn. And then too, like with this rib, he was like lifting it up out of her body. He was like, do you see this? This is not going to reattach. And I was like, oh man, like now what? What about that? And he was like, it's just going to be a floater. Like we pulled everything out that didn't need to be in there. And then, she's just going to have to heal from here out. And she was 88 pounds. So he put her on some cow antibiotic. And so she gets 2 antibiotics and a pain medicine every day, which is a whole nother chore. But you know what? She is a little piece of cheese, and you put several pills in there, and
B just let the cat out of the bag. She made it. Yeah, and she's doing great. I'll show you some of those pictures too.
She eats it like just like candy. But no, it was a very, very different experience, and I think I could do it.
Yeah, I think for me, what was so amazing about it is that Violet. Hey, by the way, Zach, welcome in. Violet, mom with her the whole time. Her mom was right there with her the entire time, through the entire experience. Her mom was there, and B spends every moment of every day with those dogs.
Yeah,
right. I mean, they're buds, and so I mean, how awesome is it that for Violet that B got to stay there? We've taken suturing classes and things like that, but I've never actually worked on a bullet wound.
Right.
This was the first, and to go through the process, I think was neat. I think it's amazing that the vet lets you stay there the whole time and help, because B's the woman of 100 questions. So,
oh yeah, I was trying not to, Oh, and that was so like one of the when she bit the doctor, and then he dropped her, so that sucked. But I didn't, couldn't blame him, because he bit her. She bit him hard enough that his hand was bleeding.
Oh yeah, tell me about that. So
And then
we got to carry her back to where they're going to stitch her up and all that stuff. And I got one side of the sleeping bag. She's awake, and the vet has the other side of the sleeping bag, and she reaches right up and bites him. And if you guys knew Violet,
we were headed for X-ray.
Yeah, X-ray. Sorry, X-ray. Violet is not aggressive in any way. She's just not.
And so he like dropped her, and I was like, "What the?"
Yeah, we dropped her, and she hit the ground.
He goes, "I'm sure she hurts now," and I'm like, "What the dude?" He's like, "I'm sorry." And I was like, "No, I'm sorry." He goes, "I'm going to get a muzzle." And so we put a muzzle on her. And she had the muzzle on for just a brief minute. Oh, well, probably like 5 minutes. He at that time gave her a shot to sedate her, to just make her a little groggy. And then he picked her up to take her to X-ray, and that's when he dropped her. And then I
dropped her too. I was on the other side.
Picked her up and put you two. You both dropped her.
Well,
how did two guys carrying a dog drop her?
When he let go of his side,
because you had because you had the blanket. You were carrying.
It only works in tandem.
You were carrying a blanket.
Yes.
Okay, so you dropped. Yeah, I just saw her on the ground and went. And then.
Hey, Freesteader, welcome in. Nurse Wang, welcome in. Katie, Texas, good to see you.
So he put the muzzle on her and then sedated her. And then she started to, and he was like, "I think she's going to throw up." And he unbuckled that, like he was a pro. He unbuckled that muzzle and just a one boop done. And then he took it off. And just at that time, she just threw up all over, and it like ricocheted off of both walls. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And it was black. And he goes, "Well, that looks like a placenta." And I was like, "That is the worst smell ever." And he goes, "Yeah, I think that's a placenta. Is there anybody capping around you?" And I was like, "Probably." And so that we feel as though we know what happened with the clues that we got. And as he was cleaning, like he wiped all that big chunks up, and then I tried to wipe the walls and tried to get he mopped, so mops don't pick up chunks, so I had to pick up chunks. It was disgusting.
The pictures on the screen, the first picture you guys can see, I zoomed in, that's my hand. And those are the little particles they were taking out of her.
So it's the bullet fragments.
Yeah, the bullet fragments. The picture in the middle is when after she was done with all of her surgery, we were in there 2.5 hours. By the time she was done, that's her laying on the floor of the vet clinic as we're getting geared up to take her home.
Because we were paying the bill.
Yeah, and paying the bill and all that.
Antibiotics and getting and that was another thing too. Like he had like his antibiotics that he had, the doctor, he went and got a big bottle of liquid medicine and like drew it out of it with a syringe and then put it into a littler bottle and then gave me the little bottle with some with the syringes and the needle heads and he had everything that I needed, on hand in like mass quantity. So he had his own like little pharmacy thing going on, which was really cool.
The last picture on the right, that's her home with her stitches. And this was 2 days. This was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
I took this picture yesterday.
Yeah. And we are actually, I'm putting, I contacted Callie and Jesse and asked them if they had some hypochlorous acid, which is the same stuff that I used on the last dog, which healed him so fast.
Most of those people are going to start thinking you have an ancient Indian pet cemetery on your land.
No.
No,
I want them to live.
And Gregory says, so someone thought she was after their calves. We don't know. I mean, we weren't there.
She was obviously not in our yard.
She, so after it happened, we went and tried to trace down where she came from, and we could find blood trails across the dam, out the back. She squeezed between the fence, between the two gates of the fence, and so we know the blood was there because it's on the gate. And then she tracked the trail for a little while going south, but after that lost it. And so we don't have any idea. But what we do know is that she, sometime in the middle of the night, because again, she's nocturnal, we're sleeping. She got shot, found her way home. She stopped twice on the way home because there was bigger pools. So we know she rested right there. And then she sat at the back door until we woke up. And that's kind of what we know, right? As far as knowing. So we don't really know what happened, Gregory. But there was a lot about this experience.
She was not on our property. She had placenta inside of her, and she was shot.
Mm-hmm.
So she was obviously where she shouldn't have been.
Yeah. Well, and I could see a farmer thinking that she was after a calf.
Right.
I could see it.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is that it's my fault. And it's my fault because she found a place to get out, right? It's my fault because the whole fence isn't in. And it's my fault because I don't have the infrastructure for the animals that I'm supposed to have for the animals. And I have to take responsibility for that and say, hey, you know what, this is a little bit on me, because at the end of the day, if the neighbor dog came over to my property and I had a calf on the ground, I would shoot the dog. I'm just telling you, I would. And, I'm saying it's attacking your calf, right?
Right.
I mean, I would do it. Or your turkeys or whatever it was,
right.
I would absolutely do it. So, I don't have any hate in my heart for whoever did it. I don't know the circumstances. Yeah. And if the thing is, if they were malicious about it, then that's between them and God. And, I mean, that'll get justice will get served one way or the other. So I'm not going to spend any time worrying about it. But there was a lot of lessons also that, we kind of learned through it. B talked about the muzzle. So I took a picture. This is the one that he used in the office. And I have a leather maker friend of mine who's making me 2 of them right now, so that we have them on hand. Because had I not been home, which wouldn't be unlikely that I got up early and left, and I wouldn't have checked on the dogs.
Right.
I'd have just gotten the truck and left.
Had I been by myself trying to lift an 88-pound dog.
How would have B got that, animal into the truck? Now, what would have happened is she would have called one of the community members and they would have come and helped her probably. But that would have taken more time, more blood would have been lost, But so guys, for any of you guys who have big dogs, even probably little dogs, have a muzzle. I am not a fan of.
Yeah, little dogs bite hard too.
Yeah, I am not a fan of muzzling a dog. I'm not a fan of leashing a dog. I'm not a fan of leashing, maybe not so much, but chaining a dog up to a tree. That's just not me. And I don't want to do those kinds of things. But
there's one thing about leashing a dog and taking it to the vet or something. You're talking about putting it on a tie out.
I'm talking about tying it to a tree.
You don't want to tie it out.
No. Hopefully this will keep her home and she won't make it, or she won't make it home next time. Yeah, well, hopefully I pull my head out of my butt and I get that fence finished and I take the responsibility of putting the infrastructure in for my animals. I mean, that would have fixed a whole lot of it, right? So
that's one thing. Like if you're looking for farmhouse, homestead, the value of a nice fence is grand.
Yes. And it's been something I've been working on a little here and a little there, but it became a super big priority because, again, I take, some responsibility for this. I mean, I did not shoot the dog, and nor would I shoot a dog unless, again, it was attacking a calf or something. But
like if you had to, you don't go around just doing it because it's not a pastime. It's a serious issue.
Pack Rat says, well, this story was quite a ride. Yeah. It
was quite a week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this has been, going on the way to the vet was quite a heart-wrenching experience.
Yeah, cows usually eat the placenta shortly after the calf is born. So my guess is there was a newborn baby calf nearby.
Well, it could have been a lamb. It
could have been a sheep. It could have been a goat. It could have been
any kind of.
Right.
Could have been a dog placenta.
Yeah. Did I mention you guys live in Kansas? I mean, that's every corner, right?
Right.
I mean, so, and it was quite a ride for us too. Yeah, Pete's Squatchy says they've got muzzles just for this reason. Yep. It did end with a happy ending in that she's well. She's back at the house, which is really good. We learned a ton, just like rolling her in the sleeping bag. I can build, I don't know if you guys don't know so, but I like to sew on my sewing machine sometimes. I could build a rip stop, something small that was folded up, that we had handles on the ends of it, you could put her in and pick her up. That would make it a lot easier. Muzzles was a big deal. when it happened, the back of my truck, I have a king cab truck, and the seat back there, and I did the night before went to Menards or Home Depot or whatever. So it was full of stuff too. So I was just woefully unprepared for this. Just woefully unprepared for it. That's someone who prides themselves on being prepared, right? Yeah. Brett says fences won't keep dogs.
Fences won't keep roaming dogs in.
Well, I know that those dogs, if they want out, they'll get out. But I still owe it to them to do everything I can to make sure there's a fence all the way around, right? Let me see. Walking in Bowles says we are doing the same thing. Going to put up woven wire because of our roaming GWP. Yeah, we just got to get it done. Yeah, we just have to get done. Hey, Dave and Sonia in Michigan, how are you? Good to see you. Let's see here. If the vet said anyone calving near you, it was probably his best guess for that placenta he saw. I would agree. Oh my goodness, look at this. 1886 Cafe is in the house. Hey, how are you? This is
hello.
Farm to table cafe, not very far from us, that we frequent all the time. Make the best hash browns and the best bacon. They're like way up
top notch.
Hey, I am me. How are you? Says I'm lurking. I just wanted to say I'm so glad you mentioned muzzles. I bought some for our weenie dog. He barks at leaves falling from the sky on the porch. I had to get one. I didn't realize I am of how important it was to have muzzles. I mean, I'm such.
I've never had one.
You guys know that I believe in freedom, and that doesn't apply just to me. I mean, I don't cage a lot of stuff up. Yeah. I mean, our chicken's free range. They have a place to go. They can get out of the predator's way. They've got a pen they can run into. They've got a house. They've got all those things, but they free range. And my dogs, I just don't want to tie them up. And it's just one of those things. But man, yeah. Brett says, Tag, I wasn't letting you off the hook. Thank you, Brett. Thank you. If a dog is a roamer, you're effed. Don't say that. Yeah. LJC says to 1886 says hoping to get up there for a rail car next week.
Oh, you're going to be here next week?
Yeah, good times. Let me see here. Jen says also a comedy show with breakfast. Good times here. Mm-hmm. Yep. Life Mike and Jen were out here not very long ago, and we went out and I think we had breakfast at 1886.
Yes, mm-hmm. That's where the comedy show came from.
Yeah, was it funny?
Yeah.
Who was the comedian?
Don't you remember them bantering back and forth? I think you should get a radio. Well, if you'd quit talking, you could hear the radio on. Well, it should be louder.
Yeah, LJ says if you guys don't get freezing rain again, well, we're supposed to get coming up here in just a couple of days. We're supposed to get another
cold streak, but I don't think we're supposed.
No, like next week, like on Tuesday, they're saying maybe an inch. So not a lot though.
That's snow.
Yeah, the snow. All right, let's talk about this here real quick because this is you talk about this here.
Yeah, I use this as something I have purchased for the cows in the past. And I went and bought another bottle of it because my bottle was frozen. I left it outside. So I'm like, well, that's not going to work right. And it was from last year. So I went and got another bottle and I took it out to the barn and I was like, wait, what is this? And so I turned it around and the active ingredient is hypochlorous acid, which is what Callie and Jesse's water machine produces. So I'm like, no way. I took this picture and sent it to them. I'm like, look, I buy this stuff from the vet store. And he's like, I make that stuff at home.
Yeah. Like, Callie and Jesse brought us a whole bunch of
hypochlorous acid.
Yeah.
This is what I spray on the dog's wounds. This is what I spray on everything.
Yeah.
Sanitize your hands. It's water.
Yep.
It is a different pH'd water.
Yep. And works good, right?
Yeah. It smells like bleach.
Yep. Hey, Old Pecan Homestead is in the house. How are you? I hope everything's well. Jesus, oh, this is a good comment here. Jesus says, tying out a dog just makes them become prey. If they can't get away from the trouble or can't defend themselves properly, it's a flip side to a good fence, keeping them in and sort of protecting them.
Because it makes them prey.
Yeah, and Gregory says that's good. That what you're using is good stuff. They use it a lot. All right. To get on to some more positive things.
Do you have any?
Yeah, from the Homestead. This isn't my news, right? Hold on. RN says, public service announcement. If you intend on building a tiny house, they are very, very hard, if not impossible, to get insured. And if you ask an insurance agent and they say yes, then get it in writing. Are you having a hard time that you experiencing this? Why you sent me a picture of a turkey? I wasn't sure what it was.
Well,
for.
you can't see, the picture's all distorted. Look at her face, is all swollen. Like right where her cheek is just as swollen as can be. You can't. It's all weird.
Lazy Loper says, the holy water, it never goes bad. I don't know why B sent me this. All right. So one of my tasks I've been working on this week was building the stove hood. So I looked and looked and looked. The problem is the stove that goes in the community building is 60 inches. So
that's a big stove.
Finding a 60-inch hood was hard. I mean, that's not fair. That's not true. Finding it was easy. Finding it that wasn't expensive was hard. Right. So I found lots of them for $3,000 and $4,000. I was not going to put a $3,000 or $4,000 hood in the community building. And so I opted for two 30-inch inserts. And I said, heck, I'll build my own hood, which I've never done before. Right.
Right.
So
well, it looks like two hoods.
And I started like this, just getting it fitted. And then I would end up taking them down, cutting a hole through the back wall, running the vents, right, putting them back up, framing around.
So where does that vent to?
Outside, straight outside. Yep. So then.
Oh, look at that.
Yep. So then I just started framing around it a little bit, and pay attention to down here, right? Do I get to this next picture? Right.
No, the wall.
Yeah, because I had to put that wall in underneath there. B hasn't seen any of these pictures yet, so I did this today.
You just drywalled it?
Underneath there, yeah. And see that little hole right there?
Mm-hmm.
That's your spout for your pot filler.
Oh, the pot filler.
It goes right there.
Oh, nice.
So that'll be pretty good, huh?
Well, are you just concreting to the sides and
yes.
That's going to stop?
Yes. I don't want to concrete behind the stove.
Well, you have to put something. You have to put something on the wall, right?
Yeah.
What are you putting on the
I don't know yet.
Tile?
It depends on what I get. So,
I like how those look like they fall down over the lip.
Mm-hmm. So I'll get it in primer. I'll get it all in paint. And we'll see if we like it. I'm still kind of mixed on it, but over here on the side that's exposed, there's a cabinet that goes in there. I need to get that cabinet so that I can trim that side too. Mm-hmm. But that cabinet's got to go in there first. So we shall see it. I got all the wiring ran to it, got all the ductwork done today. It turns on, the fans move, the lights work. So now it's just kind of.
Do you have the other side? Do you have a picture of the other side of the cabinet?
No, it's the last picture. And
that's up to it.
Well, except that one. I have one more picture, I guess, on that side. Side deck, but.
No, it looks nice. I like it.
So
you're going to paint it the color of the cabinets? That same.
I'm going to paint it all the color of the cabinets for now and then look at it. And then maybe.
You could change the color to make it.
Yeah. It's not too late.
Make it pop.
Yeah. Hey, MJ from Wisconsin. How are you? Welcome in. Skanes Girl says, fantastic job, Tag. I know who I'm going to call when I can't figure something out. I just wing it, to be honest with you guys. You know?
Yes, he does.
I just, we'll figure it out. Just cut enough boards. It'll work, So, but I got to get it painted in and all that stuff. And there's just so much to do.
I think it looks nice.
Okay. Gregor says, looks good. Why did you build it out from the wall? Let's go back. I'll show you. Let me see if I can. So if you look real closely, you'll see that the bottom half of the wall sticks out, about 6 inches. The top half of the wall, right, sits in that, just like I said, that 6 inches. And that's because that bottom wall is concrete. That's buried in the hill behind the building. And so it's a big retaining wall. I didn't want to have a 5.5-inch retaining wall because I just don't do things like that. So I built a foot retaining wall. Well, when you have a foot retaining wall, it's going to create that kind of shelf. So that's why I've had to build it out from the top of the wall, although it's flush. If you look right here, get rid of this. If you look right here, it's flush with the bottom wall, right? And inset on the top wall. I hope that makes sense.
I can't wait to see what it looks like with it all together, because it does kind of look.
Yeah, it's going to look awesome. Nope, it's going to look awesome. And I got out of it so much cheaper. So those hoods, the inserts that I put in those hoods were $200 a piece. Way better than $3,000 and $4,000. The box I just made out of pine, right? Just whatever I had. A lot of it was just scrap I had laying around.
I was gonna say, and it looked like you used littler pieces.
Yeah, well, I try to cut them up, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, it's good. Hey, one last thing, and then we'll get on to the good news for the day. Now is a really, really good time to be buying berry bushes and trees and all kinds of things. A lot of that kind of stuff's on sale right now. And B went into Sam's Club, and she's seen this shelf of berries, right?
Well, yeah, not just berries. I mean, there's asparagus and sweet potatoes and onions and shallots and blueberry bushes and what else? Grapes.
And they were $13. Is that right?
$13.49. Yep. So $13.50. Or elderberries, blackberries, raspberries. Yeah, and the berries come 2 per bag. Mm-hmm. There were strawberries were 40 plants per bag. Or goji berries also. There were 2 goji berries for $13.50. Like, you could totally talk about adding a food, like making a food forest on a budget, right? I mean, these are all things that grow in our area. Otherwise, it wouldn't be here.
Yep.
And you just add a little bit every year, and then by the time you retire, you should have a nice orchard, nice food forest.
Yep. I think this is also a great way to do it if you're trying to prep or homestead on a budget. A couple here, a couple there.
Mm-hmm. I did get 40 all-star strawberries and 40 they were white strawberries, something Carolina. I think they were called some white Carolina or something like that.
Scarlet Oak says, don't forget to look up the Kansas Department of Forestry and the trees. So I've done this.
Yeah.
B and I have purchased, but what we found is the Missouri Conservation Department. And we live right on the border of Kansas and Missouri. But the Missouri Conservation Department had more trees for a better price.
Yeah.
So we got them out of Missouri the last time we got them, but there was whatever 700.
We went on some plums with
Kansas
from Kansas.
Okay.
Yeah. Was the last thing we bought, but we went in on it with somebody. The last ones we bought all together were from Missouri.
Yeah, the Conservation Department is a great place to do things cheap as well. Mo says, buy peat moss if you need it for the garden. It is mostly made in Canada and may go up soon due to the tariffs. Good advice.
A lot of things going up because of tariffs.
I think we need some of that for the treehouse gardens. I could not agree more.
Treehouse gardens? Yeah.
Yep. The last half of the picture on the other side, I just clipped it out of Stark Brothers Nursery, which is in Missouri. And they've got lots of apple trees on sale, lots of, berries, lots of different things. But now's a good time. And it's actually a good time to be buying them anyway, right?
Well, yeah, because this is the time to start putting them in.
Yep. You cold?
My arms are.
Oh my goodness.
And I didn't bring a sweatshirt. I just have a t-shirt, t-shirt material on my arms.
Yep. Okay. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about before we get into the good news? No?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Here you go. There is. What about that?
Oh, yeah. These came in the mail. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have somebody who we talked about this book. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Tools.
Yep. We had one of our community members who was going through just some stuff and wanted to help somebody and was trying to see if they could get a few books sold. And so we talked about it a little bit on our live last week.
This is actually a fantastic idea because there's so many things like with the skid loader. This is, you can have a page for, each item even. There's so many things like what the skid loader has, and we go through this every single time. it has a this engine and a that whatever. And so we call the guy and we say we need oil filters for the skid loader in particular, because this thing has several different oil filters depending upon which engine you have. And so we have gotten boxes of parts that don't fit our skid loader. And then I'm like, oh, great, we get to send these back. He's like, no, we're going to save them. And I'm like, they don't fit. And he's like, well, somebody may need them someday. And I'm like, let's give them back to where they came from. So something like this allows you to write down the oil filter, like the actual part number. What I had done last time was I took the box from the oil filter and I cut the little number out and I saved it and I put it on my this book that every single, I don't know, once a year I go get a new one. And then I'm like, dang it, which book did I stick that in? That oil filter, which oil filter is it? So something like this allows you to write that stuff down and keep track of everything at one place. It's like, oh, where's that book? What did it look like? Oh, hey, you could tell because there's pictures on the front. What are you looking at?
I thought that's on a picture of the community building in there.
Right there.
Oh, okay.
That was just one of the.
Okay, cool. Anyway.
So anyway, this is a really good idea. Very handy.
Yeah, Psalm says rotten logs or wood make good peat replacement to use. So if you have some 1 or 2 year old down trees, you will find a lot of mushy, rotten tree debris to utilize in the future. Yep. Let's see here. Looked at the book online. It's nice to see how big it is. Looks small online.
Yeah, no, this is a full size book. And on here, so it says the categories are, the first category is tools and the tool or equipment, then brand, model, serial number, price, and notes. But I might even take one whole page for the skid loader because there are a lot of different parts. And just being able to have all of them in one area is so handy.
Yep, there's the link, you guys. I put it on the screen to this book, who was written by one of our community members who is in a lot of the lives.
Yep.
Didn't properly post. I don't know what that means. Nurse Wayne says, I've been burned by those cuttings time after time after time. I've got about a 20% success rate with them. See here. Not in the desert. Down trees turn petrified here. Yeah, well, we're humid here, so they'll just rot away here and fairly quick. Oh, the link didn't work, they're saying, Jen. She'll post it again, or somebody will, and I'll put it back up there.
That's why she said it didn't post properly.
Oh, got it. Got it. Yeah, I can't click on it either. No. Okay. Well, she should be able to. Started Oak says red raspberries at Kansas Department of Forestry, 25 trees for $35. That's a great deal. Great deal. Oh, I almost missed that one. Instigator says almost sounds like a case for a members only online parts inventory database. Who has what filters, belts on hand that might be available to community members?
We have a lot of that stuff.
Okay.
Are you chewing that?
Yeah. Okay. Should we get busy?
Yeah.
You ready?
You're just sitting here.
All right. So let's talk about some good news. So Donald Trump was quoted as saying, I want Iran to be a great and successful country, but one that cannot have a nuclear weapon. No, they're saying link went to Amazon dog. Reports that the United States working in conjunction with Israel is going to blow Iran into smithereens are greatly exaggerated. I would much prefer a verified nuclear peace agreement, which will let Iran peacefully grow and prosper. We should start working on it immediately and have a big Middle East celebration when it's signed and completed. God bless the Middle East. I was happy to hear that he wasn't, let's just go bomb them. But I mean, he clearly drew a red line and said they weren't going to have a nuclear missile. But what I find so fascinating about that, hasn't the powers that be been telling us that they have a nuclear missile for years?
Wow.
You know, they've been 3 days away from having one for 3 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know about all that. Trump signs presidential memorandum to intensify pressure on Iran over the nuclear issues and terrorism support in the Middle East. It simply says again, Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. Trump says he's left instructions to obliterate Iran if they assassinate him. I don't know if you guys seen this or not, but he was asked in a interview if he feared that Iran would assassinate him. And again, he says that would be a terrible thing for them to do. If they did that, we would obliterate them. I've left instructions. There be nothing left. Crazy.
Left instructions.
Yeah.
Look how white his hair is.
Yeah. In that picture, it looks probably just the light. Geopolitical bombshell. Trump threatens to totally obliterate Iran after signing executive order placing massive sanctions on the Islamic State. Alex Jones responds by issuing an emergency deep state assassination plot to Donald Trump. There is a lot of people out there who really don't like Trump, and he is really pissing people off. And we'll talk about a lot of those things tonight. So I could see why they would be a little bit concerned about things like that. Let's see here. So we talked about Iran. Let's talk about China. China just clapped back at the U.S. with tariffs and more. They've slapped a 15% tariff on U.S. coal and natural gas and 10% on crude oil, machinery, and cars starting February the 10th. But wait, there's more. China now is probing Google for antitrust issues, hinting at a broader strategy. They've also tightened the screws on exports of tungsten, tellurium, bismuth, molybdenum, and indium. Keys for tech industries. And don't forget PVH Group and the Illumina landing on the unreliable entities list, hitting their businesses in China hard. All this in response to the U.S. tariffs under Trump, stirring up a trade war pot yet again. And then right as that happened, breaking news, effective immediately, U.S. Postal Services will no longer be accepting packages from China or Hong Kong. So that if they're not going to accept packages from them, pretty hard to order anything, isn't it? And then also, you know, as Doge continues to dig into USA aid, which we'll talk a lot about tonight, they've also found out that China was given remote access to all Treasury workstations. And it seemed like not a lot of people cared that China had access to those numbers. China also came out and said that Gaza belongs to the Palestinians and it is their land, not a bargaining chip for political deals. Here we go. Try that link. Jen just put another link up there. Yeah, Instigator hit it right on the head. Glad I ordered my battery components back in November. Yep, because electronics, if the trade war continues,
is going to get bad.
Yep. G. John says, no one talks about the tariffs that have been on U.S. goods for many years. Google searches come up empty on it now, too. Yeah, Google's ridiculous. You see, Terminator said, I've been told by some Canadians that they are pissed at Trump and are now only buying Canadian. Well, here's the crazy thing about that, Terminator. They should be buying Canadian. They're Canadians. Just like in America, we should be buying American. Right? I mean, I like this idea. I have many Canadian friends. I don't, regardless of what Trump did, if they told me that they try to buy Canada first, that's good business.
Yeah.
Oh, Starla says that the Hong Kong China mail deal has been rescinded. I did not see that. And then Packrat says, in years past, you could get small parts from China cheaper in total than the cross-country postage within the U.S. Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe those days are coming to an end, right? Moving on to Russia, famous Russian Viktor Bout responds to Trump's devastating dismantling of the globalist power structure worldwide. And he was quoted as saying, and I quote, "It not only looks, but sounds like a revolution." Trump says we're telling Ukraine that they have very valuable rare earth, and we want,
We want what we
want. I think is no.
We want what we put it to go in turn.
Guarantees. We want to guarantee we're handing them money. But basically what he's saying is because we're giving them money, he wants to be paid back in rare earth elements. So now he's asking the Ukraine to pay for this, right? That if we're going to be sending them money, we get something out of the deal. Russia's now accused the Biden administration of trying to assassinate Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, and other world leaders claim. No surprise that U.S. and NATO scuttled early Ukraine-Russia negotiations because it would interfere with their goal of regime change in Russia. But regime change was an unpredictable and costly, and it's clear now that if Putin fails, a more hawkish and dangerous leader will rise. Donald Trump was quoted as saying, "I'm not looking to hurt Russia. I love the Russian people," and always had a very good relationship with President Putin. And this, despite the radical left's Russia hoax. We must never forget that Russia helped the U.S. win the Second World War, losing almost 60 million lives in the process. All of that being said, I'm going to do Russia, whose economy is failing, and President Putin a very big favor. Settle it now and stop this ridiculous war. It's only going to get worse. If we don't make a deal, and soon, I have no other choice but to put high levels of taxes, tariffs, and sanctions on anything being sold by Russia to the United States and various other participating countries. Let's get this war, which never would have started if I were president, over with. We can do it the easy way, or we can do it the hard way. And the easy way is always better. It's time to make a deal. No more lives should be lost. I think this is actually a great statement because what he's saying is, I don't want to fight. Let's just end this and, get back to it. But I will tell you, just like in his statement on China and just like in his statement on Iran, he also says we won't back down.
Right.
Right. Which I also find pretty fascinating. You see, President Trump has lifted the ban. Now, I want to tell you guys before I read this one, I could not verify this one, but it was, if true, I think it's going to have a big consequences. But it was reported that President Trump had lifted the ban on conducting deep strikes into Russia previously imposed on Ukraine by Jake Sullivan because he was scared of Putin. The 1,000-kilometer range Jasmer ER cruise missiles are coming. Launched from an F-16, they can reach Moscow and St. Petersburg. So if Trump truly agreed to let Ukraine shoot these missiles from F-16s into Moscow, we could see this escalate very, very quickly. Tamber says, says he shouldn't be pissing our friends off. Well, I don't know. I mean, are the trade deals fair, Tamber? Because if what he's doing is looking out for Americans and he don't think the deal that we're getting from Canada or from Mexico or from China or whatever is fair, that's his job. And just because he's friends with Canada or Great Britain or Australia or any of the other ones, they shouldn't get by for free, right? They shouldn't get by so America's taking in the short so we can maintain a friendship. That's not a friendship. That's using, in my opinion. And again, I'm not there. I'm not claiming to be there. But I have no problem with people in Canada buying Canadian. People in America should be buying American. Let me go a step further. If you live in Florida, you should be buying Florida. Right. And if you live in St. Cloud, Florida, you should be buying for St. Cloud, Florida. Right. I mean, this.
If you can.
If you can. Right. So, let's see here. I'm OT pissed. What's OT pissed mean? Let me see here. Tag, remember the same people that created this war are the same that are going nuts over the $500 billion a year cancellation of USA aid. Oh, yeah. I'm going to talk a lot about that, too. The world is just coming apart at the seams. Yeah. Gregory says, who are our friends? Tamber says, Canada. I think Canadian people and Americans are pretty much the same people, vastly. But again, Tamber, if what Trump said is true, which I'm not dumb enough to just listen to what someone says and take it as fact, but if what Trump says is true, which is we're not getting a fair deal, they're getting special breaks and incentives and we're getting, tariffed, they need to stop it, right? I mean, at least in my opinion. All right. So after Trump announced a proposal for the United States to take over the Gaza Strip, describing it as a hellhole, protesters are chanting Gaza is not for sale while waving Hamas flags in a video. Would Palestinians have the right to return to Gaza if they left during the rebuilding? Trump replied, it would be my hope that we could do something really nice, really good, where they wouldn't want to return. So that clearly says to me that the idea of clearing out the Palestinians out of Gaza permanently is what they're looking to do. One of those clips that you have to make sure you're not hallucinating. Donald Trump says the Palestinians ought not be allowed to return to Gaza because why would they want to return? That place has been hell, next to the grinning man that made it a hell, they claim, which he was sitting next to Benjamin Netanyahu. But I think this is super, super interesting to me. Trump, when I was watching the interviews, really sounded like to me what he wanted to do is make a resort, out of Gaza of some kind, and says America should have ownership in Gaza. I'm not supportive of this in any way. If we're going to do an America First policy, let's do an America First policy, But anyway, let's see here. I'm starting to understand why Bibi Netanyahu accepted the ceasefire deal in January. So remember, just not very long ago, Trump, even before he was actually elected, just a few days before, they reached a ceasefire right in Gaza. And then Israel goes on to bomb other countries and is bombing them right now as we speak. But Palestinians just in other places. But it kind of makes sense why all of that came together. Maybe there were some deals that were made. I don't know. Psalm says, isn't Trudeau out as prime minister in Canada? If so, will there be an election for a new one? Actually, there's places in Canada, or because of the tariffs and everything, they're talking about maybe some of the people in Parliament are talking about maybe suspending elections.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So let's see here. Oh, there you go. Sorry, Terminator said, I'm not pissed at anyone. Yeah, you shouldn't be. You know what? If American products are too expensive and Canadian products are better, less expensive, and you can do business locally, do it. That's what I promise you. That's what I'm going to do.
Oh, she said, I'm not pissed.
Yeah.
She just
Right.
didn't put the N.
Right. Gregory says they want to build a canal for trade. You talking about in Gaza? Wonder where it would go. Let me see here. Tamber said he's pissing off. That's messing up the planes. He's pissing someone off that's messing the planes up. There have been a lot of plane crashes. One in there was one in Alaska. Then there was another one that went down, I want to say in the Philippines or something like that. It was a military helicopter this week, a military one this week. And there was a helicopter that just went down too today somewhere. Starlit Oak says, I think Trump is trying with some things I disagree with. I 100% agree. I actually love that he's creating the havoc that he's creating, although it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt for all of us, right? This is going to get painful for every single person, I promise you, but we can't continue on 36 trillion in debt, 37 trillion in debt, 40 trillion in debt, 45. I mean, at some point in time, someone's got to rip the Band-Aid off.
Someone's got to get rid of the Sesame Street and other countries.
Right. Psalm says, I'm sorry, the monster wants to build hotels and casinos on the grounds of so much innocent blood shed there. Yeah, I'm not for this at all. Not at all. I play some online games and do some chat. People from all over the world. The thought is the same. Our government is corrupt and stealing from those that work to give to those that don't for votes. I couldn't agree more. And that's what it's going to have to, something's going to have to happen. We cannot continue on the path that we're on, but I promise you it's going to hurt. Tag helicopter went down here in my county this afternoon. Okay, got it. All right, shut down the Department of Education. You hear a bunch of the claims this week, right? And I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. It says enact universal school choice, merit-based pay for teachers, no cell phones in classrooms, bring back the presidential fitness test, civics education and testing. There's no silver bullet, but this is a great starting point. Well, I thought I'd do a little digging for you guys and share some interesting numbers with you because I know a lot of teachers, and I know that there's a lot of teachers that think that getting rid of the Department of Education is a bad thing, or they're picking on teachers, but they're not really picking on teachers, because if you look at the Department of Education and look at what's gone on in the schools since 1970, 8% of the budget, the cost of taking care of a student has gone up 8%. Teaching staff, 60%. Non-teaching staff, 138%. So it ain't the teachers making the money.
Who's the non-teaching staff?
That would be
lady?
president. The president, the principal, superintendent, administration. Right.
Well, you don't have more than one principal
Oh, babe, there's so many people on payroll, right?
Okay, so you're not talking about each school. You're talking about
I'm talking about as a
over
whole,
the
right?
entire.
Yep. Also, the Department of Education, since they've been operating, looking at some very interesting trends. The total cost is the full cost of K through 12 education of a single student graduating in the given year for adjusted inflation. So if you look at the cost, right, going up of a student, so the total cost is the blue line, right? That's the total cost of schools. And don't forget that back when they started it, we were number one in education, and now we're towards the bottom, right, of how well we do. The purple or the yellow line underneath the blue line is employees. So that's how that's grown.
From 1970 to
So employees,
2010.
yep. And everything else. So if you look at enrollment, which is your dotted line at the bottom,
The
right?
green.
Reading scores would be red. Math scores would be green.
Oh.
So the system clearly isn't working. How do we go from number one in the world to, in the 40s? How was it in 1970? The average cost was $57,000, and now it's $164,000, right? And I mean, something has to be done. So I'm actually for it. I would love for them to return the power of education back to the hands of the state. I would love for kids to be able to go to whatever school they wanted to go to in their area, right? Because then what you're going to do is you're going to force schools to hire the best teachers. They're going to have to go to work, right? Because a parent's going to want particular things.
Yep.
And so I think it's absolutely excellent. Absolutely excellent. Perhaps redistribute the Department of Education budget to states to distribute equal and then based future distributions on how well schools score. Yeah, I think how they score is great. I think there's a lot of metrics that we could use, but I also, one thing I would change about this, G. Johns, is not necessarily just give it to the states. Have some metrics by which how the state gives it out, because you don't want to just train one master for another master, right? So maybe they give it to the state, and the state says, okay, you divide this up between all of the students. That equals $40,000 a student. Based on your enrollment last year, I'm going to give you $40,000 a student. Everyone's on the exact same playing field. I don't know, but overlay healthcare and education trends. Both are likely similar. More and more money with less and less result. Yeah, and I got some news about that tonight too. Nowhere in the Department of Education mentions in the U.S. Constitution, let each state regulate the schools in each state. Could not agree more. Now the school gives the kids computers instead of just reusing the same old textbooks. Yeah, and less teachers teach too, right? Because of this.
They don't have textbooks anymore?
Most of it's all done online now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, One Step Closer says the money should follow the student. That's kind of what I'm thinking for. Oh, Carrie Davis for the win. No more participation trophies. I totally agree. I can tell you guys personally, I've learned more out of failure than I ever did out of success. Hey, last warning. Welcome in. Let me see here. Brandon House spent an hour on this subject last night. Oh, cool. Yeah, I just have one slide. So we spent like 5 minutes. Thomas Jefferson came up with property taxes because settlers to America were hoarding land. But now that Bill Gates, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, and China are hoarding the land, they've run their course at preventing what they were meant to prevent. So it's time to abolish income taxes. If you look at that bottom graph on the bottom left, that's 1913 to 2008, which is just as far as I could find it, on the percent of households filing income tax. And if you guys look back prior to that big jump, income tax was only meant for a certain income, and it was never meant that everybody paid it. And,
supposed to pay it?
They also said that it would be temporary at World War I, because they were trying to fund the war, that it would be temporary, and yet it's still here. There's a bill in Congress right now to repeal income tax. If you look at HR 25, to promote freedom, fairness, and economic opportunity by repealing the income tax and other taxes, abolishing the Internal Revenue Service, and enacting a national sales tax to be administered primarily by the states. I love the idea of a sales tax, especially if they would get rid of property tax in lieu of it, because I think property tax is the thing that keeps you a slave, and the one thing that makes it where you can never get 100% free, in my opinion. I mean, you could just refuse to pay it, but then you've got that hanging over you, too. But I would be a big fan of this. Hippocrates said, the failure breeds knowledge. I should be a genius by now. Yeah.
Yes.
I can tell you, I don't know if it works for everybody, but for me, I've learned a lot out of failure. Psalm says abolish property and land tax. Property tax is the worst. Yeah. Yeah. One Step Closer says there's nothing as permanent as a temporary government program. All right, breaking. No, this happened just before the live, and so this was a slide I added at the last minute. Breaking: Trump just revoked Joe Biden's security clearance. Joe, you're fired. There's no need for Joe Biden to continue receiving access to classified information, Trump says. Therefore, we are immediately revoking Joe Biden's security clearances and stopping his daily intelligence briefings. He set this precedence in 2021 when he instructed the intelligence community to stop the 45th president of the United States, me, from accessing details on national security, a courtesy provided to former presidents. The Hur report revealed that Biden suffers from poor memory and even in his prime could not be trusted with sensitive information. I will always protect our national security. Joe, you're fired. Make America great again.
Wow.
And, yeah. Yep. And this just happened.
So he did Biden did the same thing to Trump. Is what he's saying.
Yes. He's saying
He
Biden
took
already
his-
said, yep.
Back when
Yep.
he was.
Yep. Oh, yeah. G. John says Herman Cain's 999 tax plan, they shut him down quickly. Yes, they did. And I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Don D, how are you? Says property tax only for corporations. Yeah, I think anything for profit you could have property tax on, but your home, I don't think they should be able to do it. You know, I know elderly people who are in danger of losing their farms that they've lived on for 50 years.
They were born there.
Yeah, and they're in danger of losing them because they can't keep up with property tax.
Right. Their
Right.
parents were born in that house.
Love Runs Rampant said they will just raise the sales tax so much it will cause issues too, but it's better than property tax. Yeah, because at least then you can choose to buy. If they would just raise property taxes where it was so extravagant and so hard to do it, you'd find more homesteaders and more people growing their own food and more people doing for themselves. So it kind of would win out anyway, because then what you're doing is building a self-reliant people instead of building someone who is addicted to and dependent upon the government tip. I wouldn't mind that at all.
Addicted to.
Hey, my buddy Mario. What's going on, buddy? Just checking in with a little love. We miss you too. ESEA, the Act of 1965, began the federalization of the education system. Yep, and we need to go back the other way. What about Obama and Clinton's security clearance? That should be revoked as well. Should be. And I'm telling you, it would not surprise me. The stuff that Trump's been doing, and guys, I've been a huge critic of Trump, but he is actually clearing the swamp. You know, this was a promise he made in his first administration, which I always go back to about, well, he said he'd clean the swamp, but he didn't, right?
Yeah, but he didn't know what his powers were. He was told certain things. And now he's like, wait, I know how this is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's going to be a whole different go around.
Whether you believe Trump lost in 2020 or you believe that the election was rigged and Biden really won or who won or whatever, but that if that was a game that was played, they picked the wrong game. Because you'd much rather him be president in 2020 than he is now.
Right.
He's had 4 years to prepare for this.
Right. Had they have let him do his second term right after the first,
right? He wouldn't have any time.
He wouldn't have had
That's right.
the opportunity to go, wait, I can do what?
Yeah.
You know, to investigate some stuff.
Yeah.
And now he knows kind of what he can do, just like this right here. And he's going to pull all of them.
Yep. Holy smokes. The CIA just offered a buyout to its entire workforce. This bombshell report comes from the Wall Street Journal, revealing that every single CIA employee has been given an option to resign with a buyout package worth approximately 8 months of their pay and benefits. According to the report, CIA Director John Ratcliffe is leading the charge, signaling that the agency will become leaner, more aggressive, and focused on real threats. In a blunt statement, he told the CIA officers. Again, I think this is absolutely fabulous. Obviously, you don't want the company to be at risk, but when they use the CIA and the FBI and all of those things, like there was a report from January 6th that of the 13,000 FBI officers, 6,000 of them worked on the January 6th case. So almost half of them were assigned to the January 6th case. So they weren't protecting us anyway. To the brave CIA officers listening around the world, if all of that sounds like what you signed up for, then buckle up and get ready to make a difference. If it doesn't, then it's time to find a new line of work. I agree with. Mike Bent says, I told my ex-subscribers on a private live stream 6 months ago that I fear USA aid much more than I fear the CIA, because USA aid is how the CIA gets shit done. Right? Breaking, Doge employees have also entered the FBI headquarters. And I don't know if you guys seen this or not, but the Democrats were trying to get in and security wouldn't let them in. So there were senators standing at the door. You okay?
Yeah.
And they wouldn't let them in, which I found awesome. Pam Bondi, which, by the way, I don't know a lot about her, but man, she's a tough one. I kind of like her a lot. Just ordered the Justice Department to freeze all funding for sanctuary cities and has instructed attorneys to begin prosecuting officials preventing ICE from doing their job. I think, the question comes up a lot about how you restore the faith in the U.S. government. And I'm going to tell you something. If they would start arresting some of these crooks, it would go a long way with me. 30,000 deleted emails, for example. Oh, that'd be great. Hey, Kerry Davis says, oh my goodness, I think Obama just got his security clearance pulled. Oh, I would love that, love that, love that. If somebody can confirm that, that would be great.
Wow.
That would be big. Big, 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 big,
Bummer.
big. Yep. Chuck Schumer then replied, he said, an unelected shadow government is conducting a hostile takeover of the federal government. Which, interesting coming from Chuck Schumer. Then the Babylon Bees came back, which I thought was hilarious, and said Democrats warn Trump's unelected shadow government is dismantling their unelected shadow government. You don't find that funny? Like, I find that funny. Like someone who's in the shadow government says, oh, we're going to have a shadow government, Let me see. Brett Boyd says, tag Pam is the shit. She was a bombshell in Florida. Yeah, I like her. Yeah, Kerry Davis says that Obama losing his security clearance is on X.
You think that's what she's talking about?
Yeah, I think that it would not surprise me because
she just said that she's
seen it on X. I can't get on right now, but Anyway, moving along. TSA was caught purging the records. TSA is removing the names of the Americans listed on their Quiet Skies terror list. I wonder why. Right, as I previously reported, conservatives and Tulsi Gabbard were added to this list. I'm also told that federal air marshals are still assigned to follow the January 6 defendants on their flights, even though they have been pardoned. I'm currently suing TSA over this, says Brianna Morello. They have refused to hand over critical records regarding the innocent Americans that they've added to the list, except now they're deleting their list. So, of course, we'll probably never see it. New U.S. Attorney General calls for the Epstein client list to be released. You want to bring back faith in the government? Release the Epstein list. Quit hiding it. It is what it is. Americans are big boys and girls. We can take it, right? Tell us the truth. You start telling the truth. You start being transparent. I love my country. I'm a very proud patriot. I hate where it's gone. I don't like the people in charge. But you want me to have faith back in them? Be honest. Jen says putting the power and decisions back in the hands of the people is critical to the success of our country. Yes, it is. Let's see here. Did you guys see that they released the entire interview with Kamala Harris?
I did not see it.
You know what I'm talking about?
Was this
okay? So she went on CBS before the election, and they did an interview with her.
Was this back when they were trying to get her on? Who was it that was it? Joe Rogan? Somebody
about that same
somebody
time.
Went on. Trump
yeah,
went on.
It's about that same time. But they released the whole thing, and so it was about an hour long. I watched the whole thing while I was working, actually building your.
It was an hour long.
Yeah, but what they released the first time was like 20 minutes of the hour, so they edited it.
Yeah,
terribly.
Well, they just probably picked the things that they, the important parts, right?
Well, but she had a couple big blunders in there that they got out of. But see, this is the thing: the American people have the right to know. What gives them the right to edit it? She's speaking to the American people. They're doing an interview for the American people. Could know who they're voting for.
What did she blunder? She
lied
or she
no
like
she didn't know. She didn't know the answer. She didn't know facts. About what would you do with Russia? And if Russia did this, and she just kept saying, we'll deal with that when we get there. Like she really had no plan. Psalm says Epstein list will be released, all redacted because of all the politicians are probably on it. I don't know. Psalms, you're probably right. But here's the thing, man. The one thing about Trump is, because they tried to assassinate him, I could see him not giving a rat's ass whose name's on it. Right? Unless his is. Right. But I mean.
Or his son.
Right. Right. Who knows? Also, did you guys see that Biden had signed with the same talent agency that represents the Clintons? Can you guys believe that?
Talent agency?
Yes, to be an actor.
Nuh-uh.
He signed with the same talent agency the Obamas did. Now the Obamas are producing videos, right? They produced that End of the World movie, right? I don't remember what it's called, which is weird. Yep. And then Trump also, the press corps also said that if you're a member of the press corps and you heckle the president of the United States while he's speaking, your pass should be revoked. Again, I totally oppose this. Freedom only works if it works for everybody, and freedom of speech is freedom of speech. So, Jen says, I'll bet you a box of donuts that it'll be redacted. Yeah, I will not take that bet. But I'm going to wait and see. If it comes out redacted, then I'll be like, oh, here we go again. And I'll be back to bitching about him. Lee County, Florida has been the first of the counties to ban fluoride in all of its public drinking water.
Really?
How wonderful is that? We need a lot more of that. Let me see here. Also, RFK announced RFK announced the Trump Unity Administration will stop this crime. And what he was referring to was the geoengineering spraying the chemtrails that are in the air.
Really?
Yeah, he is not confirmed yet, but he said he will end it, which I really like. Let's see here. Mo says, I think we will know how neutral Trump is when he gets to the junk projects in the DOD. I would agree. And you know what? If he hammers them all, I would absolutely love it. Elon Musk says big money fraud is happening in Medicare and has directed Doge to look into the payment systems. We desperately need the same attention on Social Security. Doge Age search Medicare agency payment systems for fraud. And Doge team has uncovered $100 billion in Medicare and Medicaid waste. Elon has exposed the staggering $100 million wasted in taxpayers' money with Medicare and Medicaid, calling it the epicenter of fraud. Wasn't it great? Absolutely wonderful. See, I told you guys it was good news. Between USA Aid and now Medicare and Medicaid, and they're really finding lots of money.
A lot of money.
And it won't take many of those. As I mentioned, you take $100 billion, and if that represents 1% of the federal government, imagine what happens if the rest of the way out, you're only half as good. You've just paid the national debt off. Right? And it's big money. It's big money.
Did you see that right there? Did you read that? The John Kennedy Social Security says that there are 6.5 million Americans who are at least 112 years old or older.
Yes, I haven't read it yet, but I will. I will say that if nobody goes to jail, then all of this for naught. When Trump is gone, it'll be back to the same. I agree. What got me was the Treasury employees saying they never stopped a payment. Yeah, what B was talking about is John Kennedy said that Social Security says there's 6.5 million Americans at least 112 years old or older.
6.5 million.
6.5 million, which means somebody getting paid.
That's a lot of people.
Yep. Insane. Okay, moving on. $43 million on a gas station in Afghanistan that had no customers. 1.5 million to promote LGBT Jamaicans, 4 million for trans Serbians, 5.5 million for gay rights in Uganda, 17 million for Vietnam inclusion, 25 million to promote green transportation in Georgia, 1 million for Arab and Jewish photographers, 8 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid binary gendered language. 122 million ended up in the hands of terrorists. That's where the U.S. aid has been spending your money. Democrats have been sending your tax dollars to all kinds of crazy places like George Soros Prosecutor Fund, and even worse, the media. Politico received $26 million over the last 4 years from the federal government. The White House says it's all getting doged.
Doged.
Yep. Nancy Pelosi got paid 137 million tax dollars by U.S. aid, which went straight to NVIDIA calls. So she bought stock with it. What the F? $20 million for a new Sesame Street show in Iraq? Of course, but only 700 for people in North Carolina.
Mm.
Can anybody explain why LGBT was so important to the Dems? I just don't get it. 3.9 million to LGBT causes, 5.5 million to activism, to LGBT activism in Uganda, 5 million to advanced LGBT issues in priority countries around the world, 6.3 million to men who have sex with men in Southern Africa. Of course, and one step closer says, don't forget the condom money. I ain't got that far yet. We'll be there. Let's see. How about $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala? $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, our enemy. $20 million on the new Sesame Street show in Iraq. We talked about that. $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. What? This is what you're paying your tax dollars for, right? You know, when they say, hey, we didn't raise your taxes this year, your property values just went up. They think you're stupid. Yep.
20 million on a Sesame Street show. $20 million.
Yeah. And then it's wonder why people don't want to be inventive anymore. And people don't want to go out there. And I don't want to go build another company. I mean, absolutely crazy. Yeah. And then like with my Jen says, don't forget the 84 million that went to Chelsea via the Haiti Relief Fund through her parents' charity. Yep.
84 million.
Yeah. How many congressmen are poor after leaving Congress? Yeah. None. Let's see here. USA Aid was using tax dollars to send celebrities to the Ukraine. Ukraine has supporters. Angelina Jolie got 20 million for visiting the Ukraine. Sean Penn, 5 million. Jean-Claude Van Damme, 1.5 million. Orlando Bloom, 8 million. And Ben Stiller, 4 million. Because what they do is they get the celebrities to go over there and say, yes, we need to help Ukraine. And then the American taxpayers go along. Right? It's propaganda, propaganda, propaganda. It don't get better. Despite the fact that Moroccans have been making pottery for thousands of years, USA Aid spent more than $2 million for Moroccan pottery classes. The DoD paid Reuters $9.1 million to run illegal social engineering operations against American citizens for active social engineering defense and large-scale social deception. USA Aid spent millions of dollars on cloud seeding. I thought that was a conspiracy theory. $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala. I think I read those already. Our government spent $200 million for struggling musicians. So USA Aid gave $200 million, you guys, to people like Post Malone, Chris Brown, and Lil Wayne. Oh my goodness. $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia. $70,000 for a DEI musical in Ireland. $1.5 million for DEI in Serbia. And $20 million. Oh, I'm sorry. They spent money sending Ukrainians to the Paris Fashion Show week. Oh, that'd be nice.
Grief.
$6 million, and we did that one already. $1 million to help disabled people in Kazakhstan become climate leaders. $3 million taxpayer dollars was used to study how fast a shrimp can run on a treadmill. This is where your money is going. This is why he has to put the hammer down. This is why all of those things have to go. But I'm telling you guys, it's going to hurt. Vivek just ended the Democratic Party perfectly by summing up their abuses in USA Aid. Dems were essentially bankrolling state-run media and international wokeness by using U.S. taxpayer dollars. So the putting a kitty litter box in a classroom, calling them furries, the 27,000 different genders, you paid for it all. How cool is that?
Yeah. Well, of course we did.
How cool is that? Omar suggests Americans shouldn't care where U.S. aid money is going because it's only $1 billion. Oh, it's only billions of dollars. Can you explain to Americans why you think they should be interested in funding countries across the globe? Omar replied, I think it's just really important. Rand Paul exposes USA Aid's Wuhan connection. Senator Rand Paul just confronted Samantha Power with the question the deep state doesn't want answered. Did USAID fund coronavirus research in Wuhan? To which she said they did not. But there's all kinds of evidence now saying that they did. So the whole COVID thing, I don't know if it touched your life like it touched my life, because it took my father. Your taxpayer dollars funded it. So I funded the death of my dad. How interesting is that? What a bunch of bullshit. Let's see. Jody Erst put forward a bill to audit the IRS. They'll audit the auditors and fire the more than 8,000 IRS agents or 800 IRS agents who owe millions of dollars in back taxes. Don't forget, these people hired 80,000 new agents to go audit you for your $600 Venmo payment. Don't forget that, right? For your $600 Venmo payment. Yeah. Oh my goodness, there's so many great comments. This was the chemo for the national illness. It's not going to be pleasant. It's not going to be pleasant. And in fact, it's going to hurt. I promise you guys it's going to hurt. And there's a lot of things we can be doing to prepare right now for that hurt. Now, hopefully with that hurt, it just gets better, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully we hit some point and then we can start building our way out of it. And then my kids and my grandkids can go on and have great lives in America and, have another 1990s like it was back then, 80s and 90s, and they can just live in peace. I hope that's true. And no money went to remediate and rebuild all the disasters being perpetrated. No USAID for USAID. Right. But yeah, you got to pay for it, right?
No USAID for USAID.
Yep. Wuhan connection all ties back to Ukraine connection, which all ties back to US Fauci connection. Yep. I'm on a roll. Okay. Unhinged TikToker says she would celebrate if Trump was assassinated because it would be like celebrating Hitler's death. Senator Joni Erst has an audit. Oh, sorry, I already put that one in there. Why did I do that twice? Democratic Congressman Jonathan Jackson says Elon Musk wants to bring an apartheid to America because he's from South Africa. I cannot believe anyone is still a Democrat after listening to this. Impeachment articles have already been filed against President Donald Trump. The movement to impeach the president has begun. I rise to announce that I will bring articles of impeachment against the president for dastardly deeds proposed and dastardly deeds done. Senator Ed Markey is rallying millions to storm Washington, D.C. because he's angry that the President Trump and Elon Musk are making sure your tax dollars aren't getting wasted. USA matters so much to him. Chuck Schumer and Maxine Waters holding hands and chanting, "We will win. We will win." And again, this is going to hurt. If you guys look, here's some natural treasures, right? The Liberty Bell.
Wow.
The Washington Monument, right? There's riots and protests going on everywhere. Recent reports revealed that there was a student that was stabbed in an anti-ICE protest in Los Angeles who's 14 years old. Hundreds of pro-Palestinian protesters are chanting Gaza is not for sale while waving the Hamas flag. Currently taking place in Washington, D.C., a massive protest is underway as hundreds of pro-Palestinian activists and demonstrators rally outside the White House, where President Trump is meeting with Netanyahu. This comes after Trump announced a proposal for the United States to take over Gaza. It gets worse. Democrats are now calling for the imprisonment of Elon Musk. They're just mad that Elon Musk is investigating and uncovering their money laundering schemes. Well, of course they are. And it's so interesting. I love the argument where they say, we didn't elect Elon Musk. Well, we didn't elect the FBI, the CIA. We didn't elect Department of Homeland Security. We didn't elect, right? What about NIH, right? Who's done doing the gain of research? We didn't elect them. We didn't elect Fauci, right? This is just absolutely silly, in my opinion. The libs of TikTok go on to say, no one elected your ass. This is not Elon Musk's country. Rep Maxine Water goes on an unhinged rant attacking Musk at an anti-Elon rally. They're not only are they having anti-Trump rallies, they're also having anti-Musk rallies. And guess who's funding that? That's you and me. Yep, you and me. Jasmine Crockett promises Republicans that Democrats will be in your face and will be on your ass, she says. Let me tell you something, Mr. Trump. You're going to learn a few lessons from us, and I'll be the first one, you and your little friend off of Twitter, y'all about to find out, she says. While Democrats are screaming we are at war over basic spending oversight, Musk went on to expose Treasury officials who never denied a single payment, even to known fraudulent groups. Man, how do you get onto the list where they just ever deny a payment? They just process, right?
Wow.
Absolutely crazy. I've missed so many comments. I'll get a couple of them here real quick. I hope people will notice who is fighting us getting our money back so they can be primaried. You know what that means? You got it. That's where they're going to purposely put someone in to run against them in the primaries so they can't get to be elected again. Right. One more and I'll keep it reading here. I should have sent the Fed some invoices. Well, it's actually interesting you say that. I got some slides on that too. Monica McIver says, we'll not take this. We will fight back. God damn it. Shut down the city. We are at war, they say. They're clearly calling for violence. LAPD is taking action in Los Angeles against the ICE protesters. Except what was funny about that, as soon as they started to take action, apparently somebody made some call and they completely backed down. The liberal lunatics are protesting at the Capitol building in Nashville. Protesters included one armed with a transgender-themed AK-47 gathered in Wisconsin. They know rioting is going to happen tonight, as they showed the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, these big buses of cops being drove in. Protesters screaming outside of New York Hospital in New York City after President Trump blocked them from giving puberty blockers to children. Protesters rallying near the White House against Netanyahu's visit. The point of these slides, guys, is to say there's rioting and protesting all over the globe, not even just in the United States, right? There are people being hurt. You know, there was a border agent who was killed, another one that was stabbed, right? They're threatening to take it to the streets. You know, they're telling people to take it to the streets. They're telling them to get violent. If you go anywhere unarmed, man, you really need to go home and stand in the mirror a little bit. Rethink that, right?
We know personally of somebody saying that there were rioting going on in Phoenix.
Yep. Yeah, all bad. Let's see here. Protesters against ICE mass deportation in Glendale, Arizona were seen beating and destroying police cars. LAPD was about to make arrest, as I mentioned earlier, and then they just cleared out. Atlanta, Georgia, there's protests against ICE mass deportations. I can't even keep up with all the different reasons why people are protesting. LAPD were just given a stand down. We don't know why. Protesters are starting to get physical with law enforcement agents. A new group of protesters waving Mexican flags harass a man flying an American flag in Idaho Falls, Idaho. The incident happened as several hundred people gathered near Broadway Bridge to pledge their support for Mexico as they protested.
In America.
Yep. Starlet says Mad Maxine and a bunch of other Democrats were outside the Department of Education raising hell because they can't get in. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier. I think it's amazing that those security guards have the balls just to stand up and just tell them no. You know, they're probably more than security guards. We've offered the United States of America an opportunity to outsource part of its prison system. We are willing to take in only convicted criminals, including convicted U.S. citizens, into our mega prison in exchange for a fee. The fee would be relatively low for the U.S., but significant for us, making our entire prison system sustainable. President Trump is seriously considering the offer, and this is in El Salvador, because the average prisoner in El Salvador, yep, the average prisoner in America costs a staggering $42,600 per year to hold. Holding them in El Salvador would bring that price down. We've also been told that they are opening Guantanamo Bay for up to 30,000 prisoners. Trump says he would send America's criminals to prisons in other countries if legally possible, calls them an animal, and claims other nations have agreed to take them at a fraction of the cost. Trump on American citizens, if we could put these animals out of our country, he said he would do it. And El Salvador agrees that we should do it. This is a very slippery slope, right? One of your constitutional rights is against unreasonable punishment, you know, an unusual punishment.
And you think that they'd be unreasonably punished?
Well, I don't know, babe. I mean, how do you guarantee they don't lose all of their constitutional rights when they go to prison? You know, some of them you do, but how do you ensure that they maintain their constitutional rights? I would be concerned about that because, again, you guys, freedom only works if it works for everybody. Now, I understand these people are convicted. I'm going to dig into this issue a whole lot more, but first of all, could you even do it?
how would you maintain their constitutional rights, right? Because they still have, a right to an appeal, a right
You're
to a
also
speedy
trusting
trial.
another country to
Yeah.
manage your people.
Well, and then what happens to them when they get out of their time? Now they've spent 10 years in an El Salvador prison, and then they just come dump them off at the
they
Mexican
know
border.
another language.
I don't know that you'd ever want them back, right? I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I'm not very fond of this.
Yeah, I think that sending the non-U.S. citizens, the people that are, what was he saying, the murderers or whatever that they were trying to gather, sending them back would help with the population.
LJC says, I'm sure they would be treated just as well as the J6ers were. Yeah, probably. Yeah, work. G. John says, keep perspective. Trump wanted $12 billion to build a wall along the Mexico 8 years ago. He spent $110 billion in Afghanistan. No more. Doge will find billions unless stopped by the court. Sounds good. I'm supportive of Trump, what Trump's doing. There's a lot of things I can critique, and I obviously will as we go along, but he has done, I would give him a higher grade than I would have given him the day after he was elected. So, all right, let me see. Brussels Parliament adopts resolution to recognize the genocide in Gaza and calls for sanctions against Israel. Saudi Arabia Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman calls for Netanyahu to be held criminally responsible for crimes against the Palestinians. And the lines, you guys, continue to be drawn. Mark Carney declares a state of crisis in Canada and says that the government has the ability through extraordinary powers to manage the crisis Donald Trump has caused. Once installed, Mark Carney will delay the election and Canada will fall under full control of an authoritarian dictator. Maybe that's why he's picking a fight with Canada now. Kerry Davis makes a great point. Says just the threat maybe would work. Maybe. Right? Yeah, Jen says, I don't want to pay to house any of them. Yeah, what do you do with them? Right? So, and Mo says, I think El Salvador sells us a few square miles for a prison there so that it is U.S. soil. Maybe. But if you were listening to what the president of El Salvador said that it would make the prison system sustainable. So I don't know. Also, Israel withdrawals from the United Nations Human Rights Council. Trump has signed an executive order to withdraw the U.S. from the Human Rights Council. And Javier Milei ordered foreign minister to withdraw Argentina from the World Health Organization today, over the last couple of days. So it looks like we're pulling out everything. I keep kind of waiting to see if Trump's going to pull out of NATO. He has not done so yet, but I would expect that. Elon just proved the Matrix is real. Doge just confirmed we are living in an Orwellian dystopia. The media is funded and controlled by the left-wing globalists using our tax dollars, and they have been brainwashing the planet for decades. We live on a foundation of lies. Tony says, instead of being mad at the people that are stealing our effing money and spending it 100% irresponsibly, you are mad at the men who told you were being ripped off. I think that's a great point. I'm having a very hard time bringing myself to pay the massive federal tax bill I have for 2024, knowing how my money was being illegally utilized. I can't be the only one. 2024 needs to be declared a tax holiday. Michelle Maxwell says, I want at least the past 10 years of my taxes refunded. Anyone else feeling it? An elderly American citizen who had just seen the news and the wasted money with USAID, her response, I want back every goddamn tax dollar I've ever paid. Elon Musk believes that Americans should get an enormous tax refund. Guys, there are post after post after post of people upset about this, saying this is robbed, I'm not paying my taxes, or we shouldn't have to pay our taxes. Again, the lines are being divided, right? Yeah. And you can actually see that kind of the water part in a lot of ways, and again, is that what they want? Was that just part of the plan? If it is, it's going to work great. President Trump, I was asked the other day, who is our biggest threat? Is it China? Is it Russia? No, our biggest threat are high-level politicians that work in the United States government, says Trump. Like Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Biden, Department of Justice. Chuck Schumer has never held a job in the private sector, and yet his net worth is $81 million. Let me say again, President Trump says our biggest threat are our high-level politicians. Again, the lines are being
$81 million.
and has never had a job outside of the public sector. So that $81 million net worth is kind of 100% that we gave it to him. That's right. See, guys, the divide isn't left versus right. It's people who think the government is serving the people versus those who see it's the people who have been serving the government. It's actually happening. America just admitted defeat to BRICS. This is the end of the empire. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, said in 5 years, we won't have the ability to sanction anyone. What he's talking about is right now, the BRICS nations control 41% of the economics in the world. And as more and more countries see America going through what it's going through, and Europe and, wokeness and the migrants and everything that's going on, as they get stronger and stronger and stronger, sanctions won't work because you can't sanction a country who trades in a different currency, right? It only works if the dollar, remains. So I think it's an interesting case in, is Donald Trump doing nothing more than just overseeing the downfall? And I thought about this a lot. It's kind of a deep conversation, but I was thinking about if you knew that America was going to collapse, if you knew it with 100% certainty, how would you control, or what steps would you take to give you the best shot at controlling, the 330 million guns that are in our country? How would you control the right wingers who are typically the armed ones? How would you control that? And there's not a single person in this entire world that I could think of who could say to a populace, guys, you're just going to have to take one for the team, and then actually do it more than Trump. And so I hope this is not just overseeing the downfall, but maybe Trump has got all of the best intentions in the world, and he's going to clean house, and that's what brings the downfall.
Yeah.
Right? Because, I could see it in a lot of different ways, right? So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to live through.
Time will tell.
Time's absolutely going to tell. I give Trump high grades, but I'm telling you guys, every one of these things is going to hurt you and me. We're going to feel it. We're going to feel it at the gas pump. We're going to feel it at the grocery store. And I hope that's where it ends. But many, many people are also feeling it in the streets. There was a 12-year-old boy who was stabbed in Texas. I'm sorry, in Glendale, Arizona. Just out doing his thing. There are people being robbed and raped all over the globe. And you guys see it on the news as far as being, it happened over in Ireland or in Great Britain, but it happens here too. Again, don't forget the media is totally bought and paid for, and it's been proven by the USA. The U.S. aid. A lot of that money went into places like Politico and CNN, and a lot of them, to keep them afloat. And so they're just spewing what the deep state wants people to hear. So the truth will come out at some point, and much like with the dog that got shot, that the truth will come out someday, and someday, we'll figure it out. But man, I'm telling you guys, go out there and be careful. Be careful every single day. Don't go anywhere, that you're not armed, and then limit where you go. I'm sorry, but you couldn't pay me to go to the Super Bowl, not with everything going on. No way. That would be absolutely crazy. Let's see here. Psalm says, BRICS bypass the SWIFT system. The SWIFT system, for anybody who don't know, is like a global payment system. And even Ripple XRP has been the fastest trade for the banks in the world. Now Trump wants that ticket. Yeah, crypto scares me. I'm not a big fan of it. Not that I'm not a big fan of it. I get it. And if we could truly find decentralized, currency, I think it would be an absolute wonderful thing. But there's no way the powers that be give up the power of the purse. Yeah, Gregory was a great comment. I'm leery of a setup. I think it's all managed. Well, it would kind of line up that way, and you could talk yourself through that probably pretty easy, right? I think. Let's get you and me back on. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know for sure what's going on, but again, let's give Trump the benefit of the doubt. I think he's doing a lot of great things, but I think it's going to hurt, and I think he very well may bring the shit hit the fan sooner than had it stayed the other way, because he's dealing with the issues. But I will tell you, the sooner you deal with it, the shorter it is.
Right. Well, we can't. What we were doing wasn't working.
Right. And as our founding fathers once said, if there shall be trouble, let it be in my time, so my children know peace. And I'm not getting any younger, so I'd just assume the trouble. If it was coming, let it come now.
Yeah.
You know, where I'm as young as I could possibly be. You know,
Right. That's
Just do
the right
Guys,
responsible
yeah.
thing to do.
guys. 2 hours and 4 minutes. B, how you going to get us out of here tonight? What do you got to talk about? Any parting
The
words?
responsible thing to do. take responsibility for your own stuff.
Yeah.
Your food, your property, your decisions, your
Yep.
family, friends.
I think with personal responsibility
Religion.
and owning what's yours is such a powerful thing. That's empowering. You know, I own what happened to Gretchen. Oh my goodness, that was a dog a long time ago.
That was a lot of dogs ago.
Violet. I take responsibility for what happened to Violet. Now I'm not letting the person who shot her off the hook, because they'll deal with that and they have their own accountability, but I have mine. And I'm going to do a better job. I'm going to take responsibility for it. It's on me, and I'll fix it, right? And I'll take care of it. Oh, I will. I mean,
one way or another.
that's right. And you know, if B and I are going to spend, we're going to try to do a better job at food independence this year.
Yeah.
Even though we already grow a big garden, we're already doing it. We're really going to try to step that up this year, because again, it's about taking responsibility for our food, right? The tariffs will make everything more expensive.
Oh, right.
Right. I mean, and just imagine if you gardened really hard and by the end of the year, everything was falling apart and you found out that your gardening efforts paid you $100 an hour because that's what it costs to replace the food you planted. Right.
And you knew where it came from, and there
Yep.
was no cancer in it or
That's right.
vaccines.
Yep.
Or
Yep. Yep.
how cool.
Yeah. All right, guys. It's 2 hours, 6 minutes. We love you guys. We're going to get out of here tonight, and we will see you guys in a week. Be up.
Be out.
Tag
out.
I'll film on Sunday and I'll get you guys a video.
Hold the line.
See you guys.
Don't give an inch.
Good night.